got all the Iron Skillet. I heard we got Cliche to the left of me, Master Logue. We got T-Clem TV on the boards. We got Bullwhip over there in the corner.
Big whoop.
We got special guest Frosty here. He's going to talk a little bit about his music, some upcoming videos, and all the dope stuff that he's got going on. But before we get into all of that, we're going to talk a little bit about should you get paid to perform. And I know Brandon has been itching to say some things about this, so
I've been ready to sound off.
I might let you open it up.
So, I guess this all started because we did a show last weekend, the Big Ten Showcase, put on by Tickle Black Affiliates. Shout out to Shaban for setting that up. Also, shout out Rucka Rucka Entertainment for setting that up. But I guess somebody made a post, and and a lot of artists chimed in on it, saying that they should get paid to perform this and that. And I definitely agree that artists should get paid to perform, but I don't think that people realize that there's levels to it.
I feel it.
I don't even know how to start on this, but if you're an artist that brings a crowd, and what I mean by a crowd is at least like no less than 20. Like 20 is a small crowd. Like I think I'd consider a crowd like 40 to 50. Like at least pack half the club. And those artists, I say, should get paid to perform.
Should at least get the door fee.
Right. Well, some of the door. Right. But okay, all right. So there's a lot of different aspects you want to look at this. Like I've done this in both aspects. I've been the performer. I've been the promoter. So let me talk about it from the artist standpoint. If you're not bringing a crowd, how's the promoter making money off you just bringing yourself and one other person or this or that? It's not really doing anything, so you're not really generating anything. So to compensate that, what some promoters do is they call it the pay to perform or pay to play, however you want to look at it. So you'll pay for a slot, 50, 100, whatever it is, but they're going to give you an amount of tickets to make your money back, double your money, however many, maybe you could triple your money, whatever. You can slang them tickets to make your money back, which honestly, I think is it's great for the promoter. It's great for the artist. The artist makes money. The promoter gets what they want in the crowd and the ticket sales. So they're not just paying or getting somebody to come perform and bring in their 5 to 10 fans.
Yeah.
So I think that is a really good scheme, and I think it works especially in smaller markets like the Winchester area. Of course, you go down to DC, they're going to pay artists to perform.
Yeah.
And they're bigger venues. It's a bigger market.
Yeah.
In a smaller market like this, it's tough. So the pay-to-play scheme, I think, works, and I think it is fair for both parties. Now, from the promoter standpoint, I've done that. It's a lot of headache, hassle, and money up front. I had to pay. You got to pay for the venue. If the venue doesn't have security, you got to hire security. And more cases than not, depending on the venue you get, whether it's a club or it's like a VFW or whatever, you might have to pay to get sound there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hoops to jump through just to throw a show. So off rip, the promoter's making calls, putting out money, this and that, and that's what I think the artists don't understand is all the time and money that these promoters put into these shows. They think, oh, I'm the artist, I'm entertaining, I should get paid. Well, in turn, look what all the promoters doing. You know what I mean? So if you're not bringing a crowd,
yeah,
he's losing.
Yeah.
What's y'all's take on it?
I agree with you, man. Oh, damn. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like, that just goes into the business side of things. You can have a dream, an idea about something, and then it's like, wait, here's how we actually do it. Let's actually see the practicality of how we put this in motion, because, not so much the money, but the time, you know what I mean? You can't really, you can't get the time back. So if you put, it's more time than anything. You have to take the time to call this person. If you've ever put a show together, like you said, when there's multiple people involved, it's like, you have to call this person. Are you going to be here? Yes. Okay. You know, it's just so many things that could go wrong then, you know, to actually get to the point where you're getting people to come to the door. That shouldn't even be a question. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not able to bring a crowd in or, you know, have people that are excited to see you, why would you want to get paid in the first place? And why would you expect to get paid? But there's also, you know, there's other ways to get paid too. I mean, you know, there's the bar. You know, a lot of places will let you get the bar if the door, like let them get the door, they get the bar. But it depends on the type of venue you're doing. Like what you were saying before, I know you guys were trying to do a lot of things with Shenandoah that fell through. So I can only imagine.
That was a show that was put on by Shenandoah, and it got shut down obviously because Waka Flocka had some issues down in Atlanta, and WPD shut that shit down.
Yeah, because look how many. I mean, think of something like that. You know, you talking about a local artist. Most artists aren't even thinking of doing things like that. So I applaud you guys on that. But
appreciate it.
Definitely share the insight, because I think a lot of people can learn from that for sure.
Right.
I think the whole pay to play goes both ways.
Right.
Because of course you got the artists that are who are about it, you know, who are gonna pay and sell the tickets and like do their shit. And then you got the artists who don't have any fans who are gonna pay just to go to perform, and their shit's trash. And it's just like it ruins the whole vibe of the show.
Well, that's another thing, especially when you do an event like this past weekend. There was 10 to 12 artists. Yeah. So, of course, there were some good ones. There were some, you know, ones that needed some work. But in the grand scheme of things, like, this one wasn't a pay-to-play one. So, let's just get that out the way now. But in those type of events, it's hard to tell, because there is people who bring a big crowd. There's people who don't bring a big crowd. So, moving forward, how you gonna, you know, as a promoter, you gotta pick and choose your battles. The same as the artist. You gotta pick and choose. If you feel you should be getting paid, then cool. Go ahead and find a different promoter who does that scheme. Because there's gonna be promoters out there that do the pay to play. That's what it is.
Yeah, I had some cool. So I had a couple points, and I want to say them before I forget. One thing, I think, if you're looking to get paid, something Logue brought up when we were talking about performance, talking about thinking about your set, bringing props, lighting, like a stage design, all of that stuff.
Something memorable.
Put on a show, yeah.
Yeah, people, like, you're there to entertain, and if you want to get paid to entertain, there's a certain level of expectation of what that should be like, and I think that a lot of people in small markets just don't even think that big. But it's like, if you want to be paid a certain way and seen a certain way, you got to present yourself like that. Present yourself professionally and think about those things. I think if you want to get paid, let's say you have a goal that you want to get paid, but like you haven't gotten your first paid gig yet, or you don't even know how to go about it. Maybe you do 1 or 2 trial runs with a promoter and you say, hey, like, I can guarantee you this many heads. If I do 2 shows for you and I bring this many heads in consistently, then maybe the next show we can create this type of deal, because now you're showing up and you're proving. They're seeing what you have to offer. It's not just you saying, I deserve to get paid for this.
That's a great way to approach it.
Another thing you can do is show them your stats. And that's where having your stuff on platforms and having strong engagement and following is a big thing, because you can use that to your advantage and use that as leverage. You can say, I have this following, like, I've built this up online, like, I put my time and energy into being, professional about this, and this is why I think I should get paid, not just saying, like, that you feel like you should. It's better when you have some type of, like, facts behind
collateral.
it. Yeah, some type of leverage. What do you think, Logue?
I really don't have too much to put into the topic, because I haven't done too many shows, so I really don't know the ins and outs of the shows. All I really can recollect was the times I ever performed at Valley Cat. And shout out Chris Calley, by the way. When that venue was open, it was definitely popping, and I think it was very short-lived. But Chris went about it the right way. Like, he would definitely make you pay to play, or he would give you a handful of tickets if you were on the lineup, and he would make you sell the tickets, which never really was a problem. But I want to dig into that, the marketing standpoint of hand-to-hand selling someone a ticket, because you're selling someone a ticket, they're like obligated to show up to that show, you know what I'm saying? They already paid $15, $20, however much you sell the ticket for. They're showing up to that show regardless, you know what I'm saying? And with a little bit of charm and persuasion, you can sell anyone a ticket. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just like,
Not everybody though.
not everybody, but I mean, you know your target audience at this point. If you're an artist, go ahead, Britt.
Well, with that,
You're
with
right.
you saying you're selling the ticket, I think it's more than selling the ticket. I think when you're approaching people about trying to sell these tickets, you should be offering it as an experience.
Oh, totally.
You know, not just, hey, come out to my show. Like, yo, come out to this dope experience. I got
Good
a
point.
crazy set planned. Which you know what I mean,
Yeah.
you actually choreograph something, and don't just stand up there and do karaoke, because it's kind of embarrassing, and I cringe every time.
So
Should we bring that into
yeah,
the
I
segment
want.
right now?
Let me do it. Let me do it.
Travis.
Let me do
Okay,
it.
Travis is gonna do it.
I hate when people just play their music and just stand there
And rap over it.
and do their own ad libs.
Not
That's
even.
it. They just do their ad libs. They're just like, yeah.
Remember that one
It
guy?
distorts the audio a lot.
He had the
I
candy
haven't
store
seen that in a
pants
while.
on. Did anybody see that?
You ain't been out in a minute then.
Oh, bro.
You know, I just wanted to say, like, you guys touched on a lot of topics, a lot of, points. The one thing I wanted to say that sometimes those shows that you don't get paid for and the ones that not a lot of people come to, those are sometimes some of the most important shows. Those are the times where you work on your artist development.
Right.
Yeah.
You work on your courage in front of a crowd.
Right.
Maybe those smaller crowds don't give you as much pressure. All of a sudden, your flow came out cleaner, and your
a great
confidence
point.
went up, and you can get ready for those shows that you will get paid for one day.
Right.
It's not always such a
Pressure.
painful experience not to get paid for a show, but I do understand it's a music business, and
yeah.
Eventually you will realize that with management and with a talent agency and stuff like that, that's something that's going to be the least of your worries if you're a professional recording artist.
Yeah.
How the professionals really do it, they have teams of people working on that
Oh,
kind
yeah,
of stuff.
100%. They don't deal with
But
that
at
at all.
this level, yeah, of course, when you guys are managing your own careers and you're handling your own business and investing your own time and money, of course, you got to worry about that stuff.
100%.
But I think it's also important to remember, like, it's not always such a bad thing.
There's stepping
right?
stones to it.
As far as the artist is concerned, like, these are the times to really get that practice in, because even professional singers and shit forget their words,
Oh,
forget
yeah.
their hooks
Totally.
sometimes, like
All the time.
So it prepares you for the worst sometimes, and these are the times to get that shit out the way.
That's
I've
a
been there.
huge point.
Feeding off of that too, you touch people more when it's in a smaller environment. You know what I'm saying? You're more engaged with those few people that are in the room. Like, those people are really engaged. They're really listening to what you're saying, so they really appreciate your artistry. You know what I'm saying?
You're more inclined to gain a fan.
Exactly, a lifelong fan. We
Right.
call them
It's more of an
Super
intimate
fans.
show.
Yeah.
precisely.
If I had to
Definitely.
compare it to anything, it's kind of like those like MTV Unplugged
Exactly.
Right.
performances where it's like a lower key, more intimate setting,
Yeah.
and you get to look at your audience right in the eye.
Yeah,
And you're not just looking at the masses. You know what I'm saying? It's a different feel, and I feel like people appreciate that. You gain more fans that way. Smaller, but
smaller venues.
100%.
Wiz Khalifa, we just talked about that on a couple of episodes ago, right?
Yeah.
How, like, he was performing in front of 2 people, and he's
Oh, yeah.
Wiz Khalifa, but that was the beginning of his career. So
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
I think people take for granted these small shows and these shows that you don't get paid for. Of course, everybody thinks they're the best, which especially if you're a rapper, you should think that and you should have that mentality. But people take for granted these shows because of the practice you do get and standing up in front of a crowd and being able to, perform your songs. That definitely gets taken for granted a lot.
100%.
Another point for people who do want to make money, get some merch.
Yeah.
Step out with some merch. Pull
Oh,
up
yeah.
to these shows.
Yeah, why
Like,
not?
sure, you're not getting paid to perform, but if people fuck with you, they'll buy your merch. If people rock with, you know what I mean? I think that's another huge
100%.
point.
Like Jonathan Brown.
Oh yeah.
He always pulls up in merch, and like we've seen people at Sweet Nolos like see him perform for the first time. They're like, "Holy shit, this dude's awesome!
And just
I need to
bought
buy a
his shit
T-shirt."
for no
Yeah.
reason,
I bought a
yeah.
poetry book from him.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to show love, and people do that. People will show love and show support.
Yeah.
When they see you're out there grinding, doing little shows like that,
Yeah.
it's even more like you're like, "Damn, this dude is like about it." Like,
He was very sentimental.
Yeah.
His set list was really long. You basically got to hear his whole chronological timeline of his life, and that really touched
See,
a lot of people.
and it was a show. It wasn't just him performing songs. Like he
It was very
choreographed a
theatrical.
show.
It reminded me of like
He had
theater.
talking points in between each song that led into the other songs. It was an experience.
Yeah.
It just wasn't him rapping his songs.
Right.
Yeah.
And people like those are things that people take for granted or overlook when they do have a show.
I agree with you, 100%.
I kind of want to sum up my thoughts. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get paid to perform. I'm saying that you need to work up to getting paid to perform, and there are local artists at that level that do get paid to perform and should get paid, but some artists need to understand that there's more practice that needs to be done. There's levels to it. Exactly.
It's almost like knowing your place. Know your place.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
kind of an asshole way to say it. but-
yeah,
No,
yeah,
but somebody's got to say it. I'm like, people don't hear this shit.
Just
no
gotta
beating around the bush.
build
Their
up.
friends don't tell them this shit.
It's like
Raw, uncut,
build up
iron
to it.
skillet shit.
build up to it for sure.
Y'all got any last thoughts on this topic?
Y'all covered a lot already, and I agree with most of it. You know,
I love the practice point, and that's how I look at
Yeah,
most of these
absolutely.
shows. Like, it's practice. Like,
yeah, we even we're going to Blue Fox to do practice because they do.
Yeah, they got
mics
open mics on
So
Sundays.
just go there and practice. I mean, it's just a bunch
you know,
of old,
shame.
even a
dudes in
freestyle
there,
in your
you know?
friend's basement is practice.
Yeah,
But like
exactly.
on a stage, you're putting yourself in that position where
Right.
one day you can actually start making money.
Absolutely.
You know,
And
I wanna
build
touch
your,
on-
build your own character and your persona.
I want to touch on another thing too for people who go in unprepared to like perform at a show that is different than recording. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you're not practicing those breath patterns frequently, like 2 weeks in advance before the show date, you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna be out of breath. Like, it's just like preparing for a football game, you know what I'm saying? You're using the same amount of energy that you would on a basketball court or on a football field, performing those things, and that goes unnoticed, and like people really take that shit for granted, but artists really put out a lot of energy when performing. So think about that next time you watch somebody perform.
I got a Trav's tip of the day.
Do it.
For it.
When you're with your engineer and you record your shit, ask him for a performance track.
oh fuck yeah!
Great way to
Track.
wrap that up.
What is that?
Take your verse out.
Yeah.
Leave
Mute
the
that
hook
verse.
in or mute the verse.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Leave the hooks
Get
in.
a performance track so when you go to do a show, you're not rapping over top of your mixtape.
There you go.
Sheesh.
Nothing
A lot of people
irks
can't
me
do that
more
shit.
than hearing karaoke
Yeah.
at a rap show.
It's not even it's worse than karaoke because you're rapping over top of you rapping, so it's just blown out. The whole-
It's very distorted.
You know what gets me too?
so
Is
ask your engineer for your performance.
It's like you're
tracks
rapping, you're
while
doubling
you're
over
there.
top of your double.
They
and then
probably
they still run out of breath.
they probably won't mind just muting you and bouncing that shit and just giving it to you, but you never know.
Hey, one last thing. I just want to say one last thing. You know, at a lot of these shows, a lot of people don't show up. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
Like some of these shows, there's 50 people, maybe even less. Make the most of your opportunity. Get your buddy to record it on your phone, and go back and watch it. Watch the game film and see ways that you can get better. That's what I like to do. I gave my phone to Logo over the weekend. Trav was like, "You want me to record?" I was like, "Nah, don't even worry about it. Just get some pictures." And I
get a look
watched
good.
that, and I'm like, "Man, I could have did this better," or "Damn, I missed my breath right there." You know, it is a lot of practice.
Can I have a Logan tip before we end?
No, that's my segment.
All right.
We just giving
I'm
tips.
just kidding.
Give tips out for free
So
tonight.
one thing that I found that works really good, all right? You spot a couple, like a man and a woman,
Oh, here we go.
and you look the woman right in the eyes while you're rapping.
Tell them. Tell them.
Look them right in the eyes when you're rapping.
You tell them.
And she think, what? Huh? You tell him,
What'd you say?
you leaving with him?
Oh!
Nah, yo.
All right, so going off of our last topic, I think doing those type of shows is a good way to build connections. And I kind of want to do like a broad ways to build connections, because not everybody does hip hop or music, but of course we do. So let's try and
Mix it up.
bridge. Yeah, we'll try and bridge the gap. But in the show we just did, that was a great way to build connections. So in a general sense, you want to one way to build connections is go to these events that cater to whatever it is you're doing or whatever your grind is. In our case, it was a hip hop show, or Shaw mentioned that the Bright Box had a
It was an entertainment industry mixer. It was tonight from 6 to 9.
What is that?
There was videographers, sound techs, promoters, musicians, everybody. It was a free event that they
Like,
threw. at
It was
the
just
Bright
like mix
Box
and mingle type
just to
thing.
get up there and meet people, have drinks and food.
That is cool.
Right?
So that's
Yeah, but how'd they promote that? Because I'm pissed.
I don't
I'm
think
not
they
there.
promoted it.
I was about to say we didn't hear
I
about
didn't
it
know
until
about it.
she said something about it. I'm like, Shaw, that's going on right now at 6 o'clock.
I know. My cousin sent me the link from Eventbrite. She was looking for like a comedy show, and she was like, "You and Travis should go to this."
We should download that app if
You're-
we don't already.
I'm on Eventbrite and they blow my shit up,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yo, I'm not in Atlanta anymore.
We're getting off topic.
Anyways, okay, but no, like building connections. So going to events that cater to whatever it is you're doing, I think that's a huge way. And you really got to be mixing and mingling. Like you can't just stick to yourself. Like sure, we can pull up at a hip hop event and keep to myself like I'm the best rapper. But if I'm not networking, then what am I really getting out of this? Sure, people are gonna see me rapping, but did I make any connections? Did I get farther in my career? I was out there talking with the DJ, yo, you need a hand? You need, like, I got you. Like, just chopping it up with people and just, you gotta be yourself. And honestly, you can't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. I think that's what helps me a lot. Like, I get uncomfortable, and then I'll get myself out of it. So I'll just say something like walking past somebody on the street, hey,
Do
what's
the
up?
opposite.
Instead of just putting my head down and walking. But that's one way that I like to build connections is, you know, going to these events. Another big one would be collaborations. Outside of hip hop, I guess you really got to think about your target market and what it is you're doing. I don't know. I guess you could collaborate on a painting, but like for us, it'd be, you know, reaching out to somebody that you admire or think that is on the grind or doing good, and like, yo, you want to do a song? Or hey, let's just chop it up and talk. Like, let's share knowledge.
You see a lot of like product companies, watch companies, fashion companies doing collabs with. It's not just artists, but like
Influencers?
like creators, like musicians, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's definitely, you can do it outside of music, even if you're just making like any type of apparel. Find somebody that's skating around here. Some kid at Millbrook that's like the nastiest skater at the skate park, and like hook him up with some gear and make some dope videos and have him show all his friends. And I bet you in like a week, if you if he shares that link, all your stuff's gonna sell out.
Yeah.
So collab, definitely. That's definitely a big
Collab's
one.
a huge one.
I think
Content?
I love content. I think
I'm just kidding.
content
Go
is
ahead.
very cool. I think that people need to just look for the opportunity because it's really all around you. You can build connections through your place of work, you know what I'm saying, your place of employment. You can build connections with family, friends. It all depends on how you choose to perceive the situation that you're in. And if you're not capitalizing on those opportunities, then you're not doing your job as an artist and trying to go to the next level. Like, I can be in a scenario where it's like, and this is only because of me, I want you guys to take these factors into consideration, but I have many different areas of which I can dabble with, being with like clothing, music, marketing, promo, so on and so forth. But everywhere I go, I'm looking for opportunity and sauce, because you know what I'm saying. Got the illest sauce. Back to the topic. When I'm at my job, you know what I'm saying, I don't push it on anybody. I kind of just act like myself, normal. I don't really mention anything to anyone until the conversation kind of gets brought about, or I see the need for me to say that to someone else, you know, like maybe it'll make their perception of me a little bit different. Maybe they'll show me a little bit more respect once I say certain things, you know, like a lot of people don't know I'm on a podcast, you know what I'm saying? But I've found that every time I inform someone that I'm on a podcast, like in the next couple of days, they're like, oh shit, Logan's on a podcast. They give me a little bit more credit. And I'm not saying that in an arrogant way, but like, that's a connection that I'm developing because maybe they have a cousin who's an artist, you know what I'm saying? Or like, maybe their aunt does LuLaRoe. Y'all know who LuLaRoe is? The lady who came out with those fly-ass spandex leggings
yeah.
that
Yeah,
everybody was
pyramid
wearing.
scheme shit.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah,
say that.
those joints, but
You never
like
know.
that's what I'm saying. The collaborations are endless, and I like what you were saying about that, because when you do certain collaborations, it doesn't always have to be a narrow mindset of like, I'm an artist, I'm gonna work with another artist, like, and we both make music. It's like Shatora. We've seen Shatora do this for years, where she's like got a bunch of different family members who have their hands in different realms of art. She makes music Takara makes physical art, you know what I'm saying? And they collab, and by doing so, somebody overseas, because Takara is very well connected overseas, is seeing what Shator's doing and vice versa. And when you have that mindset of just looking for all those opportunities and being able to capitalize on it, that's how you build connections.
I think you brought up a very good point in, telling people. You can't be afraid to tell people what you're about, because you
Totally.
never know their reaction, or like you said, who they know. You said, people don't know you as from the podcast, but you bring it up, and it's like, oh, word, well, I got so-and-so that does so-and-so, or whatever.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
So you can't be afraid to tell people what you're doing or this and that. And I think you brought up a very good point in, telling people. You can't be afraid to tell people what you're about, because
Totally.
you never know their reaction, or like you said, who they know. You said, people don't know you as from the podcast, but you bring it up, and it's like, oh, word, well, I got so-and-so that does so-and-so, or whatever.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
So you can't be afraid to tell people what you're doing or this and that, and you really got to, generate conversations and so forth. Damien, how